What happens when we divide the minor second into 12 equally spaced notes? Okay, cool, but why did we do that? Fair question, but to fully answer that, we're gonna have to do a quick primer on tuning theory. In Western music, generally speaking, we have 12 notes. These notes. Each of these 12 notes have their own specific frequencies, which is defined by how many cycles per second they vibrate. The faster the vibration, the higher the note. The distance between any two given notes or frequencies is called an interval. There are many intervals. When you double or half a given frequency, you get an interval known as an octave. The way we derive our tuning system in Western music is by dividing that octave into 12 equally spaced notes. This is called 12-tone equal temperament, often abbreviated as 12-tet or 12-edo for any of my microtonalists out there. Our ears and brains are able to receive and process these frequencies and do the math necessary to instantly inform us of the relationship between the note and its octave. Let me demonstrate. Here's an A vibrating at 440 cycles per second. If you double the frequency, you get A vibrating at 880 cycles per second. It's the same note, just higher up. If I play them at the same time, they sound like they're consonant. They sound like they go together. Your brain can tell that it's the same note, just higher up. They sound consonant in part because it's a simple 2-to-1 ratio. But if you drop the frequency of one of them a little bit and play them against each other, it sounds dissonant. Your brain is instantly able to tell you that the relationship is off. Ear math. Simple, and maybe a little bit of an obvious observation, but it's fascinating just the same. This equal division of the octave gives us the 12 chromatic notes that we know and love. But there's no reason we couldn't divide the octave into a different amount of notes. Why couldn't we, for example, divide it into 19 equally spaced notes? Or 17? This concept is known as microtonality and falls more broadly into the ideas of Zen harmonics. Microtonality is often described as the notes in between the notes.
There are simply too many notes.
And this is where my crazy piano experiment, dividing the minor second into 12 equally spaced notes across the chromatic keys of the keyboard, comes into play. Take the smallest interval you can get on a standard piano, the minor second. Spicy. There are no two notes closer together on a standard piano. But if we take a look at the frequencies that form this interval, we can see that there's a whole 100-cent difference between the two. Meaning, in theory, there could be a note in between the two at an offset of about 50 cents. This is called a quarter tone, by the way, and is used habitually in the tuning systems of Arabic, Persian, and the Carnatic music of southern India. Okay, great. So we have a new note in between the two notes that we normally use. But why stop there? In fact, a quick scroll on Wikipedia's list of intervals page will show us more than 76 intervals in between the minor second alone. That's also not to mention all the intervals possible that aren't listed. In fact, there can be any number of notes and associated intervals in between them. And this is just a small subset between the smallest interval of the closest two notes that we tune to in Western music. Now, at a certain point, this becomes less and less impressive as humans' ability to discern the difference between smaller and smaller intervals with reliable accuracy drops off the closer you get in pitch between two frequencies. At the end of the day, our ears are only so good, so in practice, the difference between having an interval of 100 cents and 100.5 cents doesn't really matter because we can't really hear it. But that's a bit of an extreme example, and that's not to say that we don't have room to play. Imagine the boundless possibilities in the entire pitch spectrum that we're missing out on by refusing to break from the tradition of 12-tone equal temperament. This 12-note microchromatic run, rather than highlighting the division of the octave into 12 equally spaced notes, the notes that we hear and play every single day, decides to divide the minor second into 12 equally spaced notes in order to celebrate the unseen depth of our yet-to-be-realized pitch palette. Now go, my budding microtonalist friends. Go make some awesome microchromatic bullshit.